Hello, this is yet another video that I'm going to be making on the Democratic primaries. Uh, well, I just made a prediction video before Super Tuesday, and before before Super Tuesday and after Pete Buttigieg has dropped out, and I gotta now Klobuchar has followed suit and has dropped out as well. Um, they have official like they haven't officially ended their campaigns. Like for example, they're still gonna be on the ballot on Super Tuesday, and they're still gonna be able to get delegates, for example, which will be a weird situation. There's gonna be some delegates, very probably in Minnesota, for example, for Klobuchar, and a few delegates here and there for Buttigieg, perhaps in a few places. The effects of them retreating away from the campaign, of course, are also they happen a bit too close to Super Tuesday to really impact it. Because there has been a lot of early voting, and unfortunately, a lot of people had their votes literally become wasted votes, as if they had just spoiled their ballot. Um because they voted for Klobuchar or Buttigieg or Steyer. Um, but oh my God, I gotta talking as a Bernie Sanders supporter here. I don't think I've ever felt as desperate as I feel right now. Like this is a moment of honestly, like it brings me such fucking sadness. Like there's um there's a very obviously transparent attempt at having Bernie Sanders not become the nominee no matter what. You know, like this is very transparent what they're trying to do. They don't want Bernie Sanders to become the nominee, and therefore um, they're just going to do whatever they can to to prevent Bernie Sanders from winning. And Warren, now that Buttigieg and Klobuchar dropped out, basically in Biden's favor, which pushes Biden's votes to viability in basically every single state, which was the advantage that Bernie had, like a unique advantage that Bernie had that nobody else did, which was the fact that Bernie could at least expect to be viable in every single state. Now that's no longer the case. Biden will be viable in every single state as well. This almost 100% guarantees that Sanders will lose delegates on Super Tuesday, because now that Biden is pushed to viability in some states, that means that Bernie Sanders is gonna lose out a lot of support from the delegates. Like a lot of assigned delegates are now going to be redistributed among everyone, and we already know that Bloomberg is is a candidate that is just going to drop out after Super Tuesday, very probably. Like he didn't manage to make an impact. I'll be surprised if he gets 10% anywhere. Um, Florida was a race where he was apparently doing okay, but I don't think that Bloomberg will stay until the nomination, because I think Bloomberg can see the writing on the wall that he's actually spoiling Biden, and he will pull back somehow. I don't know though, because he's already spent like $500 million in this campaign. It is crazy. So I really don't know how the situation is going to develop with this. Um, Maybe he just stays in until the nomination just to fuck around with whatever few delegates he can get. Who knows? Which is precisely what Warren is trying to do. Now, I think we need to talk about Warren. Um, Man, this is a like I would like to not feel so desperate as I feel right now. Like I would love to not feel the kind of sadness and frightfulness that I feel right now. Like I'm honestly afraid for the future because Bernie Sanders is going to be rat fucked at the convention, and it's basically guaranteed to happen now. And one of the very few things that could give Sanders a very small fighting chance would have been for Warren to be a bigger woman and drop the fuck out in his favor. But that's not what they're going to do, and that's not what her campaign says it'll do, and that's not what they're indicating they're going to do. What they're going to do, very obviously, is stay in until the very end, until the convention, and then, from what we've seen from Warren recently, we can basically expect Warren to just throw her votes in behind some moderate candidates, probably Biden, and basically play kingmaker, get offered some position by Biden or something, and then she just, I don't know, skirts on by with that. There are some people that are honestly being very hopeful that somehow Warren is going to pull through for progressives and actually decide to support Bernie Sanders at the convention. But I'm gonna be honest here, 100% chance that she doesn't do that. She's actually going to work against Bernie Sanders. As we've already predicted here, like Bernie Sanders can get into the convention with some 1,600 delegates, roughly, which is about 400 short of what he actually needs. And Warren is going to be walking in there with maybe, man, now that the votes are going to get redistributed, it's possible that Bloomberg drops out. Unlikely. I think Bloomberg is going to stay in at least until, I don't know, Florida maybe. Gabbard, I still don't understand what her point is. I think she drops out after Super Tuesday. So currently, it is a four-way race between Biden, Sanders, Warren, and Bloomberg. Bloomberg is definitely going to drop out soon, and we're going to see. Well, one could say it is an interesting situation to have Biden, Sanders, and Warren on stage, and it might honestly be that she might start picking up some support. But what's most likely is that she'll keep polling really badly. She'll keep doing really badly because a lot of people, I mean, they're getting afraid of what Warren has been doing. Like, she has been flip flopping on her positions on a lot of things, especially with healthcare. And that is such a crucial fucking issue. Like, it is such a fucking basic thing to be talking about, you know? Like, it is such a basic thing to have on the table, which is Medicare for all. Simply. No more fucking private insurance, no more anything. Just fucking stop with the fucking bullshit profiteering on healthcare, on people's fucking livelihoods, you know? That's all they want. Biden is obviously not going to do that. At very best, he's going to keep Obamacare. At very worst, he's going to start pivoting with the fucking Republicans. I mean, there was a rally where he said that he might put a Republican as his fucking running mate. That is so beyond ridiculous to me. Biden, even though he barely campaigned at all on Super Tuesday, is going to pick some 300, 400 delegates. And with that, He's gonna be up to 450-ish with the delegates he already got in the early states, and and with Sanders sitting at roughly 600-ish, uh, that's gonna make a situation where basically Warren is gonna maybe pick up like 200 delegates or so, maybe just barely, you know. Bloomberg, I don't know, man. I'll be honestly surprised if he picks up delegates anywhere major, you know. It is a honestly, I'm mostly making this video so I can vent because this thing just pisses me off so much. Uh, like we're really honestly walking towards a situation where shit, I took off Buttigieg. You know what? I'm just gonna put in the ones of delegates that are still competing. Yeah. So that's the votes that have been cast already. We're sitting at 60 for Sanders, 54 for Biden, Warren with 8. And then of course we could talk about the situation for California, of course. Right now they're saying that basically 538 is saying that Sanders and Biden are basically sitting at exactly the same chance they're gonna walk in with more than half the pledged delegates, roughly 17%. That's still roughly 1 in 6. Here they say that Sanders has a slightly better chance of having a plurality. I think honestly, Bernie's chances of walking in with a plurality are like 100%, in my opinion. Like I think he will have a plurality. But yeah, I mean, looking at Sanders here, like he's expected to get 177 delegates. I'm gonna say actually a bit more than that because right now we have the polls, right? Yeah, it is. I'm gonna say that Bernie gets like 40% of the vote in California, which pushes him to like I don't know, maybe like 60% of delegates, 250-ish. Then Biden getting like I don't know, 125. Warren and Bloomberg dividing the rest, you know. I mean, how well is Warren doing? Okay, like she might pick up a few more, so I'm gonna say 50% for Bernie. Yeah, whatever. Like Bloomberg is probably gonna get like a few delegates in like a few places where he's gonna be viable. So Texas is another. It's unknown. Like it's a major unknown now, especially now that Buttigieg and Klobuchar dropped out, and they together have about 17% of the vote, especially ticketing Stayer. That's they have yeah, sorry, 17% of the vote with Stayer. Like, man, that's wow. What the fuck, you know? I'm gonna say that I don't know, Bernie gets like 40%. No, it's Biden gets 30. Yeah, basically whatever. Doesn't matter much anymore, you know. Apparently Sanders got in with a good, um, some very good polls for Sanders here. So I'm gonna say that Sanders actually wins North Carolina somehow. But actually, it might be the other way around here. Um, Virginia, I think seems to be going for Biden slightly. Yeah, we have two very discrepant. Then there's this. I'm gonna say Virginia goes for Biden a little bit. Bloomberg seems poised to pick up some more votes, so there we go. Massachusetts, I think right now that Bernie's gonna massacre in this state, but Warren is gonna be close behind basically. I don't think anybody has a chance of even getting viability here. Let's see. Well, I guess now they do. So let's push this back a little bit. Yeah, really burns Bernie Sanders' win there. Minnesota now. I mean, without Klobuchar, the state might go pretty hard for Sanders, but we'll see how big the advantage is here. I think it'll be divided between Warren, Biden, and Bloomberg. I guess Warren is going to get a lot of votes in Minnesota now. So we can say Sanders gets a bunch, Warren gets another bunch. Um, I mean, we have to take into account that obviously here, for example, Klobuchar would still be getting viability and getting some delegates, but let's pretend she doesn't exist anymore just to see how things look today. Damn, that's very bullish for Sanders. Okay, then I'd say Colorado goes overwhelmingly Sanders then. Biden gets viability, Warren gets viability, and there you go. Tennessee, I'm probably gonna go for Biden. Yeah, but we don't know. So Tennessee, I'm gonna say that Sanders at least gets the viability. Biden gets the rest. Um, I should pull some back and say that Bloomberg also gets viability. Alabama. don't really have any indication, but we can say that Biden wins pretty hard there. Bernie can at least get viability, and I think, yeah, Bloomberg would be right behind. Oklahoma, that's another one that I think doesn't really have any polls. Um, yeah, there's one from February. I don't know. Let's say Sanders gets viability. Biden gets vast majority. Bloomberg also gets viability. Arkansas, same deal. I'm gonna say Utah, Maine. Maine seems like it'll go pretty hard for Sanders. Vermont, yeah, Vermont is probably still a walkout for Sanders. Like how are the polls looking there? Yeah, Bernie expected to get 51% of the vote. And Buttigieg dropped out was 13%. Klobuchar was another 4. Yeah, this also has some other people. Maybe, just maybe Warren. You know, the American Samoa. Who cares? Let's just say. There you go. So with all said and done, my predictions are about on target. Bloomberg gets some 160, Warren 200, Biden has 500-ish, and Sanders has about 600. Right? That's how I kind of expect the Super Tuesday to go. It doesn't add much to the discussion from the other episode, but from yesterday. But the difference here is basically that now the situation is looking a lot clearer for the rest of the campaign. Um, and I don't really know what's left for any of these candidates to do after this. Probably, I don't know if Bloomberg would be one to drop out, for example. It might be that Bloomberg decides to stay in. Warren, I think, yeah, she will be the snake. She will be the fucking spoiler for Bernie. So I think she will stay in and be a good DNC lapdog. Um, Biden, of course, is the Manchurian candidate for the DNC. So he's gonna stay in until the very end. So from here, we can already see how the situation looks for the future. Like basically Warren's already going to be clasping her hands together and rubbing them and thinking, haha, I am in perfect position to play kingmaker now because I have 200 delegates. I can really fuck with elections now. And that's, I think, all she wants to do, basically. Like, for example, Michigan. How's Michigan gonna look? I'm gonna make a more complete prediction here, but I mean, let's just say that the people just mostly get like viability, basically this, for example. Um, Technically, Bloomberg might get some votes there, but I'm gonna pretend that what happens after Super Tuesday is that Bloomberg's campaign is officially dead. He gets um, Okay, it's March 10th. Let's actually be a bit more generous for Bloomberg and say that he manages to hit viability in a few places, right? There you go. Washington State. That's another one that Sanders seems to be winning pretty hard. Yeah, I'm gonna say that Washington coalesces around Bernie. Um, Warren gets a few good numbers there, but then we have Biden getting the rest. I think Bloomberg really gets fucked here. Being extremely generous to Bloomberg here. Missouri probably gonna go for Biden. I don't think they have any polls. A few might be where Bloomberg can get a few more. Oh shit, sorry, wrong state. Oops. Um, so I'm gonna pretend that Bloomberg doesn't drop out and he still manages to retain like a lot of like presence in these states. Mississippi is the other one. Then yeah, basically Biden's gonna win pretty hard. And Sanders gonna be a little bit behind, and then Bloomberg's gonna get the rest. Idaho, yeah, it doesn't even have polls in it. For some reason, they're saying goes Bernie, so let's pretend it does. North Dakota also doesn't have any polls. Whatever. Let's have Bernie win again. Right? Uh, Democrats abroad. Okay, that's where they vote here. Actually, I think that majority are gonna vote Sanders, but the rest like Warren, but a few Biden. Or for Marianas, who cares? I don't know. Let's say Biden Sanders, and then everybody gets one. There you go. Then it's the March 15th debate. Bloomberg, what little support he has, gets fucking smashed again. So it's a situation where basically just Sanders, Biden, and Warren on stage just throwing punches at each other. There is a tiny possibility that maybe Gabbard gets a delegate, say, abroad or in like North Mariana, and maybe gets like a place at the debate, just to just to be there, which is embarrassing, how shitty that situation is, but being there just because she has one fucking delegate. But you can see the situation is like, let's give her all the super delegates, just so that we know exactly how many are left. So there's 1,930 delegates left at this point, right? Let's actually count her as like uncommitted and have it as like, wait, there you go. Right? Anyway, so now we have 1930 uh, delegates left in dispute. And of course, we all know that you need 1990 to be the nominee on the first ballot. So by March 15th, of course, it'll be basically guaranteed that there will be a contested convention. Sanders can maybe expect to get like 800 delegates, maybe. But let's remember that some of these states, I was kind of bullish for Bernie Sanders. giving him a lot of the benefit of the doubt. Um, though again, maybe some of these sovereign states might swing a little bit differently. So, being optimistic, maybe Sanders can get to this point, March 15th, with 800 delegates. Still, his situation to get the nomination means that he needs to get 1100, 1200 of the 1930 delegates that are left. That's crazy, especially taking into account that Florida still needs to happen, and um, Florida has 219 delegates. Taking into account that some other sovereign states still need to happen, like Georgia and Louisiana. Still taking into account these flyover states also need to vote, and they're probably not going to vote for Bernie. It's pretty crazy, man. Like it's a complete. It's almost impossible that the contested convention actually doesn't happen. Like it would take something like Warren actually dropping out, and or maybe Biden just straight up having a fucking stroke or something and dying. After Bloomberg drops out, so that there's only Sanders and Warren left. Like that's the kind of craziness that would need to happen for for like Sanders to have a chance to walk in with the first ballot already won. Like at this point, like let's take a look at Florida, right? Let's say um, Warren gets bare minimum here. Sanders get a bit more than that, maybe. Bloomberg gets at least 20%, and probably Biden walks out with the rest, right? Then Illinois, how Illinois is looking, probably, let's say Warren gets at least bare minimum here, Bloomberg as well, and then you have Sanders get a lot more, and Biden get the rest. Then you have Ohio. Sanders getting, I don't know, let's say half of them, exactly half. Warren, Bloomberg, and then Biden. Arizona, let's say they go crazy for Bernie, just give him that much. Everybody else just barely gets. There you go, whatever. Practically impossible that this happens, but Georgia, March 24th, probably going for Biden. So let's say it goes something like this. Puerto Rico. Do we know anything about Puerto Rico? I don't think so. I'm gonna say that it gets split pretty evenly between the two, with maybe Warren picking up a few, right? And that's the situation in March 29th when we get into April. Sanders would have 1,000-ish delegates, Biden 800, Warren 350, Bloomberg another 300. At this point, Sanders would need to pick up literally 1,000 of the 1,200 delegates that are left if it gets there like this. So let's keep going, right? Let's see how situation goes. So we have Louisiana vote. Louisiana probably going to fucking Biden. Hawaii. If it gets that far, maybe fucking Gabbard can finally get her own damn state, her own little bit there. Nah, fuck it. She ain't gonna do even that. So let's say Sanders mostly walks with it and Biden gets a few. Alaska, I think is gonna go for. They say Sanders there, but I'm gonna say goes for Biden actually. I don't know, maybe Bloomberg. Wyoming. Wyoming, maybe this. Then Wisconsin. Wisconsin, April 7th. Uh, yeah, since Bernie mostly walks out with it, and everybody else just gets like pretty much the viability. So at this point, April 7th, you would probably already have another debate lined up. And at this point, Bernie has 1,100 ish delegates, Biden about 900. So here, Bernie would again still need to pick up basically every single delegate left just to win. I mean, we already know this is not going to happen given the fact that there's West Virginia and Kentucky in there. Um, so at this point, we basically have like Warren and Bloomberg just rubbing their hands together, thinking, okay, who are we gonna rat fuck this time? And obviously, Bloomberg can be expected to vote for Biden. So in technicality, Biden is winning. Warren would be going, possibly Biden too. So in reality, Sanders is behind here. Then we have New York. New York is a pretty tough one, but I'd say New York goes overwhelmingly for Sanders somehow, right? Like Biden really bites the dust here. Bloomberg gets the rest or something. Yeah, basically impossible that this happens. But I think this could be the first moment. I think April 28th could be like the moment where it is mathematically impossible for Bernie to actually get the nomination in the first ballot. Anyway, I don't think I really need to go until the end with this. Like, we can expect that Bernie again, like just like last time, might get some 1,600 delegates or so by the time of the convention. Um, there's a possibility that at some point Warren drops out. Maybe she only has about 200 delegates by then, so maybe Bernie's delegates are pushed up to like 1,700, 1,800. But Warren will already have done her job of spoiling Bernie just by staying in through Super Tuesday. Um, so I mean, even if like so I mean, yeah, that's like Warren has already done her job. Like most of these wins could be walkouts now, and it would still be practically impossible for Bernie to pick up a nomination. Um, 538 actually had like a weird calculator thing. Wow, that's pretty interesting. They actually have the numbers here, and it seems that Biden might win in a few of the districts. There you go. This is what I was going to talk about. So this is a simulator of the situation of like of how their chance of getting majority changes according to the results. Like if they win certain states. So even if by going by the most obvious states like California and Texas, um, Sanders' chances would grow to like 28%. Of course, that these like actually trying to make the situation here that we're talking about isn't going to happen because there's not going to be enough simulations here. Like for example, we said Colorado was going to go for Bernie, Tennessee's going to go for Biden, Alabama's going to go for Biden, and now we can't pick anymore. Utah and Vermont, that's fine, but now we're only left with 59 simulations, and we haven't been able to pick out every single other one. Like Maine, I'd say go to Bernie. Oklahoma, nobody knows, but Arkansas can be expected to go for Biden. So with these 59 remaining simulations, Bernie would be the only one with any significant chance, with 24% roughly, and an average of about 1,750. Um, the thing with this, though, the thing with the simulation here is that I don't know how bad the victories this simulation is expecting will be. How hard they're gonna win, you know? And wow, it's depressing because you know that if Bernie doesn't walk into like the only chance that Bernie has is walking into the contested convention with something like 1,800 delegates, and just the number of like and I mean no matter what, as I already said last time, like Sanders would have some um 10 to 20%. Let's be very bullish here. Say 20% of super delegates support Bernie. Crazy, I know. Bernie would be walking in there with about like maybe 2,000 delegates, but he would still need another 400. That's the problem here. He has a severe deficit when it comes to the super delegates. That is pretty much impossible to pick up, you know. So it is at this moment here that we could see the rat fucking happen, where Bernie, even though he has like 1,700 delegates, 1,800 delegates, they're gonna throw the election and pick Biden. There's a little bit of hope in here. Maybe the debate in March 15th is gonna be really good for Bernie. Maybe it'll completely break Biden's legs. Maybe there's gonna be some scandal coming out. There's a possibility there that some scandal does break out. I mean, after all, Biden has some really weird behavior around girls, and Biden is a ticking time bomb when it comes to his mental sanity because he's just I mean a little just before South Carolina he said that he was running for the US Senate. That's not a small mistake. That's not a small slip up. That's that should be career ending for him. Like that's fucking crazy. That you would get something like that so horribly wrong. Like the dude has fucking I don't know Alzheimer's or dementia at this point. Like it's pretty obvious he does. He has some serious mental health issues that need to be addressed. Maybe this is going to be pointed out in some debate or something, but obviously that's the problem though. It's not the kind of thing you can actually point out in debate. You just kind of have to hope that it happens. Like you just have to be like, man, I really hope that Biden just has a stroke on stage, and I hate to be thinking like this. It's disgusting to think like this. To walk into a situation like this and hoping for the worst in some people just because that ultimately that's good. Like if Biden gets a stroke or something, well, he's gonna be put in like a nursing home. He's gonna be in in a good hospital. He's gonna be well taken care of for the rest of his life. He's gonna be enjoying talking on TV every once in a while when he's lucid enough. and he's gonna be able to say like, "Yeah, boys, Corn Pop was a real bad dude," and everybody's gonna laugh at his fucking shitty ass jokes because they have to. That's their job at the nursing home. And then maybe every once in a while there's gonna be like a Democrat nominee that walks up to Biden, and Biden gives his spells his name wrong, doesn't know who the fucker is, but still gives their blessing in the presidential campaign. Like that's the thing here. Like and what would be the ultimate result is Bernie gets the nomination, goes on to win the fucking election, and rules for hopefully 8 years. But I don't know how likely that is given his age and shit. Maybe, especially his second mandate, if he lives to that point, would be mostly a situation where you vote for him for president, but you know that the vice president is going to take over at some point. So he's going to have to be careful picking a vice presidential nominee by the second mandate. Of course, it's going to be what, 83, 84 then? It's pretty fucking old. Might be a one mandate president. Might just have to retire because of mental health issues, or maybe just physical health issues. Or I don't know, man. Maybe he just decides to stay in the office until it drops dead. Who knows? But in any case, I could see the situation where Sanders' first mandate ends, and then Warren becomes the new nominee, and Sanders endorses her. That could be something that happens in the future. But of course, Warren seems to be burning every single bridge she has. At this point, I think she has been doing badly enough that there's like a slight chance that I could see her actually lose the Senate race in Massachusetts. Like he's been pretty divisive there. So it would be kind of crazy if she gets primaried out by another progressives, or even she gets like co-opted by establishment uh some milk toast fucking establishment Democrat, and just loses in her own fucking state. Like, fuck, man. Warren has been doing so fucking badly this election, man. Like, she's already at the point where she should have dropped out. Like, getting the kind of results that she got. She got a few delegates. Thank fucking God for her. But man, the numbers that she's been getting. Like Pete Buttigieg actually won Iowa. The recount went his way, and he still dropped out. He won a state and he fucking dropped out. And Warren isn't even expected to win her fucking home state. What the fuck is her strategy? What is the point of this? Why is she doing this? That's the thing that's been really fucking pissing me off about this whole thing. Ugh. Again, like I think that Warren is seriously like her only real hope in this campaign here. Okay, other than of course playing the strategic role of being the kingmaker, is that she's maybe going to be the nominee if both Biden and Sanders drop dead. Like, if Sanders gets another heart attack and if Biden has a fucking stroke on stage, then maybe Warren could be the presidential nominee. If the DNC doesn't rat fuck her out of that, it gives it to like Bloomberg or something. I mean, there's a very real chance that after Super Tuesday, Bloomberg has more delegates than her anyway, or at least the prospect of getting more delegates than her because he's going to do well in Florida. Like, man, it is beyond the point where Warren should have dropped out. Like, she should have dropped out by like Nevada, probably. That could have been a good point for her to drop out. But then she did well at debate. Like at this point, it is looking like Bernie maybe like honestly, at this point, it is looking like maybe Bernie shouldn't have won Nevada that hard. Like maybe Bernie should have like lost New Hampshire or something. Like allowed Pete Buttigieg to get more votes. Like just straight up threw thrown the election just a little bit so that Pete Buttigieg would have gotten more delegates in there, because then Pete Buttigieg wouldn't have had as much pressure to drop out, and then maybe he would have stayed in to spoil some Biden votes in Super Tuesday. Like that's how weird the situation is looking right now. Um, Man, it is crazy here. It is crazy how bad the situation is. Like I think Warren is behind Klobuchar, right? Yeah, Klobuchar got delegates in New Hampshire. Warren only got some in Iowa. Man, holy fuck. That's embarrassing, man. That's embarrassing, right? No, okay, okay. Warren has 8, Klobuchar has 7. Wow, what a great showing by Elizabeth Warren, you know? Oh my god. What the fuck, you know? It's difficult to be optimistic at this point. It is difficult to actually look on at the situation and the future with any kind of hopefulness, because if the DNC, here's the thing. Now talking about the general election, the Republicans are a dying party. They have been dying for a long time now. They got a little bit of a revival because Obama got elected president and all the fucking racists came out of the woodworks because, Obama's the Antichrist. So they needed to coalesce around somebody. They found Trump, and Trump was the perfect racist. They managed to bump everyone in there, and then they just barely won against Hillary Clinton, which is literally a fucking corporatist puppet. They barely won against Hillary Clinton. Trump's chances at re-election 100% hinge on the Democrats. He, by himself, doesn't really have any chances. Because, again, presidents tend to lose votes in re election. Trump won by 70,000 votes. His support isn't that good in Rust Belt states. Those are expected to flip back to Democrat, at the very least. Any candidate here, basically, like even Buttigieg could have beaten Trump at this point here, which is probably why so many people ran for which is probably why so many people ran in this for the Democratic nomination, because whoever runs against Trump is basically, as long as the party doesn't fracture, they're okay. It's a home run. You're running against a non-issue. As long as you don't have a stroke on stage and then like babble on like a fucking idiot against Trump, like as long as you can do the bare minimum against Trump, you can win the election. Which is unfortunately like not what like Klobuchar could have done, but still, any person with any kind of strength in the rhetoric could beat Trump on stage in a debate. You know, like it would just literally be down to Bernie Sanders, Warren, a fucking hell, man. Maybe Biden could have beaten Trump on stage. But now the situation is looking so bad that it's going to be a contested convention. And in a contested convention, if they don't give it to the candidate with the most votes, with the plurality of fucking delegates, or possibly I could see an argument be made that you should look at the popular vote, and then maybe Biden has more votes than Sanders because he ran up the score in like sovereign states. Okay, in that situation, I could see that maybe support could coalesce around Biden in that case, because the popular vote. But I mean, the Democrats, they're looking at a situation here where they can win basically every single election for president for the next decade. 2020, 2024, 2028 are basically guaranteed for the Democrats if they defeat Trump in 2020 now. Why? simply because the Republicans are fucking broken right now. Because they're gonna have to scramble after Trump, their crowned king, is fucked in the ass. They're gonna drop him faster than they drop like a piece of shit. And well, who are they gonna scurry off to? Who's the leadership they're gonna have? Their best bet is that Trump wins 2020, and then I don't know. Some people are talking about fucking Don Jr. running for office in 2024. Like they're so desperate that they're literally thinking about installing a political dynasty and putting like all of Trump's family in power just so that they have somebody to vote for. Like they're literally the party of Trump now. But if gets defeated, they have to go back to being Republicans. And what are the Republicans now? They have no platform other than not being Democrats, other than fear mongering for the Democrats. So if you have a good president, a good Democratic president actually gets shit done, like I don't know, Bernie or maybe even Warren, it's over for the Republicans. What the fuck are they gonna argue for? Like unless the economy just tanks so fucking bad that everybody's out of a job in like 2 days, they're not gonna have anything to campaign on. Like what the fuck are they gonna say? Like, oh, we don't want this excellent healthcare program that you just installed. We don't want this minimum wage increase. We don't want this public education that you're giving us. What the fuck are they gonna campaign for? Like they're gonna have to pivot into like a center right in from Europe situation, you know? Which is technically what the progressive wing of the Democrats are now. Like the Republicans are going to have to change their platform so radically that they're going to have to like actually redo the whole fucking strategy that they have, which means possibly having to drop the racism, which is a death blow for the Republicans at least for a decade, because they're going to be like trying to have to convince the white supremacists in their side of the aisle, which is at least 10% of the electorate, to just not throw the elections away from there on. You know, um, honestly, it's gonna. I mean, I can only imagine what a Republican primary is gonna look like in 2024 if the Democrats manage to win in 2020. Like it's gonna be literally like a fucking Richard Spencer type running. You know, there's gonna be like there's gonna be some really fucky people running. Like what Trump has managed to enable by getting nominated in 2016, it's going to come back even worse because some people are going to try and think, okay, Trump won with this strategy in 2016. I think I can win it by just being even more radical. And the milk toast, the middle of the road Republicans, there aren't really any left. The few ones that are going to run on like a middle of the road campaign, like the Trump cultists, are going to shit on them because they're starting to walk back on what Trump supported. So honestly, it is a situation where you can very clearly see, um, well, basically a situation where the Republicans are going to be so broken and fractured that they're going to be like a rump party. Like they're never going to get the House again. They might they might have a more significant presence in the Senate. Like for example, they might retain the Senate for 2020, but it would only take like a very minor campaign of propaganda or like a very small um like it would just really take a little bit of sitting around and fucking with the Republicans in the Senate for basically popular support to be slumping for them because they're like stonewalling shit that needs to be done, you know? Like it might even lead some Republicans to just break ranks because it would only take like one or two of them to break ranks for them to lose the working majority. And I think at that point, um, the Republicans are never going to have a majority in the Senate again. But at this, of course, when I'm talking like this, I'm already going way too far. I'm thinking way too far ahead. I'm considering way too many uh, possible and not possible scenarios. I'm talking about too many ifs. Because, of course, there's also the possibility that the Democrats just start to fucking wail on the progressive candidate that gets elected and just stonewall that person and then just fucking rape the country and just allow everything to fall to shit and just wait until 2024 to vote that guy out. Like, it is very possible that even if Sanders manages to get elected, or Warren somehow, because I don't know, Sanders and Biden died or something, even if a progressive gets elected, chances are that what's going to happen simply is that the legislative work is going to slow to a crawl. Nothing's going to get done whatsoever, and they're just going to literally kill the progressive movement by making people think that these people are incompetent. Like, they're going to make people think that the progressives aren't capable of getting things done, when really they're just going to be stonewalled the shit out by the Democrats and the Republicans. And yeah, it's going to be pretty disgusting, you know. So there's like a very minor chance that anything can actually get done in favor of the American public, unless people can really get the fuck out and protest, for example, and really like, one good thing that could happen is that maybe the fucking Americans actually use the guns that they so vehemently defend to actually do something with them and like protest and fucking cause riots if people from the Congress and the Senate stop meaningful change from being achieved. But obviously that's probably not gonna fucking happen, and it's difficult to maintain hope, but I hope that people do. I really hope, because I mean, looking at my own country, if Sanders wins in America, Bolsonaro is fucked for re-election, and then finally we might see a progressive win here again, and we might see actually a progressive wave throughout the world. Even if they don't get too much done in the US, the symbolic win is going to mean quite a lot. And if nothing else, at least maybe something gets done about the environment. And we can prevent like a fucking climate holocaust, you know? Well, with that said, I think I've been talking for way too long now. I hope you guys enjoy your Monday, as shitty as Mondays can be. I hope that you guys have a good night. Hopefully, Super Tuesday is very good for Bernie. I think there is a chance that he overperforms even what I predicted here. So that would be crazy. That would be the nuts if Pete Buttigieg supporters, if Klobuchar supporters somehow rallied around Sanders for some reason, or if I don't know, Warren decides to drop out. Surprise, surprise, like tonight, or maybe like I don't know, a meteor falls in fucking Washington D.C. and kills Trump or something. Who knows? Like there could be something good actually happening. There could be something that actually improves the world happening in Super Tuesday, and I hope that that's the case. I really hope that there's still something to be hopeful about for the future. Like at this point, I'm feeling so fucking cynical that I'm just gonna live and I'm gonna wait for my inevitable death in like a nuclear war that's bound to fucking happen because of climate change. Like at that point, I'm gonna be so fucking cynical. Like I'm not gonna stop voting progressive in my country, for example, but there's only so much you can do, and I really hope it's not too little, too late. I really hope that somehow the people can make things happen and we can prevent like the world from ending because of climate change and shit. As unlikely as that's looking like right now. Anyway, guys, please like, subscribe, comment. In fact, out of all the things you could possibly engage me with, comments is probably the best way to do so. I would love to hear what people think. I would love to hear if they think that I made a mistake in my predictions, or if they think that um, maybe I'm being too optimistic, for example, or maybe I'm being too pessimistic. Maybe the world isn't going to end in like 40 years. Um, in any case, I'll see you guys next time, and I'll be as I said in the last video, I'll be glued to my fucking computer screen for Super Tuesday. I'll be hitting that F5 refresh button every single second. I'll see you guys. Bye bye.